Hey, this is Richard Green. I run a website called MakeBetterFriends.com, and in this really short video, what I want to talk about is the most important thing in our lives, which is our ability to connect with other people. There's been a lot of research lately that you might have heard about that has kind of uncovered the fact that not having strong social connections is actually more damaging to human health than smoking and being obese. So there's so much press now, so much buzz about how bad it is to be overweight, how bad smoking is. But one thing that's not getting nearly as much attention is people's lack of social connections. And that's not the only research. There's been more research showing that more and more people are becoming isolated. It's more normal to have very few or no friends, and especially great friends. Having really solid social connections is becoming less and less common in the U.S. So clearly, a lot of us are having a hard time in this extremely important area of our life, the most important area of our life. So what we need to do is have a system to approach our social lives. Because I don't want you to just hear this and then say, okay, I need to make some friends. I want you to make great friends, because the people who you connect to are actually going to have a great influence on your life. They're going to have influence on every area of your life. So the first thing we need to do, the first step in framing our approach to our social lives, is we're going to set two main goals. And our first goal is that we will have a social circle of at least 10 great friends. So now, what does great mean? What do I mean when I say great friends? Well, you need to be very clear. You need to have very clear standards for what you accept in a friend and what you demand out of friends. And of course, if that's what you want in a friend, that's what you need to be as well. And if you're not very clear about your requirements for friendship, you're going to keep getting into friendships that end up falling apart or end up negatively affecting your life. Our second goal is that we want to be spending time with great friends at least 4 days a week. The only way we can form really great connections with people is to put in time with them. So those are our main goals. Social circle of 10 friends, and spending time with these friends and making new friends at least 4 days a week. So how do we get there? Those are two very simple goals. How do we get there? Well, there's three things that we need to do. Number one, we need to be more valuable to others. We need to improve the lives of others. And two, we need to improve our own internal and material external life. And three, we need to be more active. We need to manage our time better so that we can spend more time with our friends. So let's look at the first one. We need to be more valuable to others. How do we do that? So the biggest way that you can become more valuable to other people is to connect them to other great people. What you're gonna find out, when you take an active approach and have standards and go out and try to meet great friends, what you're gonna find out is that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. Just like anything, you put in work, you get better results. And when you introduce great people to other great people, you save them that time. So that's the biggest form of value that you provide to other people. Another way you can provide value to other people is connecting them to experiences and ideas, things like that. So you want to be a well-rounded person. You also want to know what's going on in your city, events that you can take your friends to. You also want to make friends with people who are organizers. So provide those two types of value to people. So the second area you want to master is your own internal life and your material life, meaning you really want to handle your health and your financial well-being and your for lack of a better term, spiritual well-being, the way you look at the world, being an optimist, being positive. But for now, let's just go into a little bit about health. The first thing we need to talk about is our diet. That's, there's so much evidence that diet is really the first thing you need to look at when you're trying to improve your health. And I want to suggest that you read a really great book, or you can listen to the audiobook, and the book's called The Ultramind Solution. You've probably heard of it, a lot of people have heard of it, but you should actually read it or listen to the audiobook, because the basic premise of this book is that when we eat crappy foods, when we eat bad junk foods, it actually has this kind of domino effect on our entire life, because it affects the way our brain functions. It causes us to be depressed, it causes problems with our sleep, so it really kind of devastates your whole life. And when this happens, obviously you become less attractive as a friend. So check out the Ultramind Solution. It's a great summary of everything you need to know about having your diet together. We also need to have our financial life together. And this is another one of those things that's, sounds easier said than done, but it is possible for everyone to have a really healthy financial life. We live in a time of really limitless financial opportunity. If you're willing to put in a little bit of work and be creative, especially with the internet, really anybody has the opportunity to have a great, really healthy, strong financial situation. But why does having your financial life together, why is that important to making great friends? The reason is, if your financial life is falling apart, or it's just not where it should be, and you're not alone on this, you're probably in scarcity mode. And when we're in scarcity mode, it's going to be harder to trust people. It's harder for them to trust us. We get into codependencies. We're afraid. So you need to put in the time to handle your financial life and become financially literate. I'm going to put some links in the blog below this video of books you can read, websites you can go to, and I'm even going to start my own website, because I think that this area is so misunderstood and so important and has such a big effect on the rest of our lives, that I'm actually starting a blog called theproductivecreator.com, which is all about creatively building wealth and having a solid financial life. The third thing we need to do is we need to learn to manage our time. I see this with a lot of family members and people who I know who are struggling with their social lives. They tell me they don't have enough time to hang out with their friends. They don't have enough time to go to certain events with their friends. They don't have time to go to parties. There's really no way around the fact that in order to form a strong connection with anyone, to have strong connections with people and to have great friends, you have to have experiences with people, and you have to hang out with them and invest your time with them. You're not going to be able to do this if you're running errands all day and catching up on stuff that you should have done the day before. So if you can't make time to spend with people, you're never going to be able to form those connections. So let's go back over these three really important areas. We need to, one, provide value to people, and we talked about those two forms of value. One is, the biggest one, connecting great people to other great people. The second one is connecting them to events and experiences and ideas. We need to have our internal and material lives handled, which is our health, our wealth, and our spiritual life. Spiritual life is a little bit more complicated. We'll talk about that in later episodes. And it kind of, I think people have a weird reaction to even the word spiritual. So I kind of want to demystify what we're talking about when we say that. And then the third thing, we need to become masters of time management. So we're not going to get this all done overnight. Start thinking about these three areas and start working on them. And of course, get out there and meet more people.